Going into the Cup race, one of the things that was so fun, let's go over the Blaney hand gestures. All right? So, my man Blaney is easily annoyed behind the steering wheel. Man, I say this on the, I'll say, I've said this on the broadcast a couple times, specifically using the word short fuse, or the phrase, Blaney's got a short fuse. And as soon as I say it, man, I go on Twitter and all of the glass holes, Blaney fans, will be like, why does Dale say he has a short fuse? That is not true. Hey, man, they go to his defense. Am I wrong?
Oh, I mean, I'm assuming you're telling the truth about that. I don't know what they go to his defense.
No, am I wrong about him being a short?
No, I think that goes back even year. Like you and him have even had little issues with him in the short fuse while you were still racing.
Yeah.
His rookie year. Yeah. Like but I don't. Yeah, that's not a problem. People act like that's a degrading thing to say. No, you say short fuses in race cars, not uncommon,
and not a terrible thing to have.
No.
Blaney even said it in his post-race press conference that he gets mad easily.
Thank you. From the man himself. From your man, Glassholes.
That's right. People that get it's like, you congratulate Blaney, and then you have people like coming at me saying, you going to defend what he says in the radio? And I'm like, why do I give a crap about what he said on the radio? If he won a championship, why do I care what he's doing in the car to win a championship? I could not care less.
I like it. I like the cursing. It gives us great audio. They play it during the commercial. They're like, listen to Blaney. I'm like, y'all have to put that on air. And they're like, oh, we're gonna.
Yeah.
And so, but the funniest part for me is we're riding along with him in the car, and he's driving along, and he's just flipping his hand. He's like, over and over. He's getting so frustrated. And the one car's in front of him just kind of driving the same line, lap after lap, and Blaney's like flipping his hand in the air. And I'm like, what? Blaney's just driving. But Blaney knows more than we do, right? Blaney's out there on the racetrack. I'll look, I'm going to give him that. He knows more than we do, right? And he knows that Chastain's being strategic and tactical in how he's trying to air block, right? But it's just so funny. If you just kind of ignore that little part and watch Blaney ride around the track, man, his hands up in the air, and he's flipping the bird, and he's like having this sort of conversation.
Yeah.
Right? With himself and with Chastain.
Therapy. Self-therapy. Self-medication is what that is. That is what the bird finger gives you. Yeah. Sometimes it just feels better.
It was a flip of the bird, and it was like just dash level. You all right? Yeah. It wasn't like at the windshield.
Yeah.
It wasn't out there at the windshield like, boy, I want you to see this one.
Right. Again, he's just self-therapy there.
Yeah.
I think he smiled after that. He was like, oh, that felt good.
Yes. So I'll say this too, like sometimes, like I've tried to cuss and complain without mashing the button on the radio, and it doesn't work.
It doesn't feel as good, does it?
Yeah.
You got to have somebody hear it.
You can't. Yeah. So it does. It only works and relieves that sort of pressure if someone hears it, and it doesn't matter who hears it. And so maybe they need, maybe there needs to be a life coach on the radio that Blaney just talks directly to.
The therapist.
Yeah. Licensed therapist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know
just
what?
for all drivers.
Yeah. Who does he need? Who could be Blaney's life coach on the radio?
No. This person doesn't have to have an ability to even talk back. They are just there, and they don't have to have. We're just going to label them the life coach, right? They could be somebody straight out of the grandstands. This is just Blaney needs to say these things. One person needs to hear it, and then that's the end of it. They're just like kind of a trash can catch-all for all of the cursing and the madness that Blaney needs to release.
It's like that stress ball.
Yes.
Yeah, like something to, but then we wouldn't
and so
be
he could have,
entertained.
well, that's fine. He could have a special button that he mashes where he just curses, and this one person just is the only one listening to it.
That reminds me about back in Kurt Busch's heyday when he was just letting them fly on
Well,
the radio. And
yeah.
I remember his PR guy, who was one of the all-time greats, Tom Roberts, said, "You can say all those things, Kurt, just don't press the button."
Doesn't work. So hey,
doesn't work.
maybe the person does talk back. So Blaney can, Blaney, or let's just say any driver. You believe that shit?
10-4.
Yeah, man, that was bullshit. Somebody to agree with you.
That's a crew chief role.
Crew chief's busy, man. Crew chief's busy doing strategy, talking to his engineers. He ain't got time for this chitter chatter.
Sorry, Steve Letarte would tell you that a lot of the things is just working with the driver, and they know how your buttons are pushed, and he knows how to play them.
Steve Letarte will tell you the crew chief role has changed tremendously since he last did it. He can no longer do it.
Is that right?
Yeah, he said so on the broadcast.
Okay.
So the crew chiefs today have so many more responsibilities. They're not really this sort of line of communication for the driver anymore. So that's more the spotter's role. Like we hear the spotters now more talking to the drivers, right?
Right.
Like Josh Williams. Come on, man. Hang in there. Keep it. Hey, big picture here, buddy.
Right.
Things the crew chief would say 10 years ago. That's no more the, so maybe the spotter's the guy that's like, yeah, man, I agree. Even if the spotter doesn't agree. Even if the spotter's like, you're an idiot. The driver just needs to hear somebody go, you're right. He is an asshole. You're right. That was screwed up. You got the raw end of that, right?
Okay, listen. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. But I'm just so amused at just the idea, just the hypothetical of you and TJ. Back in the day, there's no way that would work all the time. You would get too pissed off it's like you getting pissed off at your therapist.
Yeah.
And I just want to see what comes of it. Now, again, I think you're right. Yeah. Drivers just need to be coached down or coached up. But what happens when y'all go at odds? Then it's right back where we were. And I'm here for it, by the way. I don't have a problem with any of it.
Well, I don't think that Josh Williams and Blaney would go at odds.
I don't know them enough. I don't know Josh Williams enough, but I know. I'm just thinking about you and TJ. That's all I'm
this
thinking
probably
about.
wouldn't work with me and TJ. He's not agreeable.
That was, be honest with you, you did need a crew chief to use as a sounding board, didn't you?
Or a person, yeah. Anyone. Person, crew chief, spotter.
And when that crew chief didn't play that role, it didn't work.
No.
I'm not going to say names. I'm just saying that it didn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, you could even go back to the Uris. Man, sometimes they would get you wound up.
Yeah.
And Pops would tell you, go take out that guy or whatever it is. I mean, that was just how
I always felt like that, I always felt like that the Uris were like, yeah, screw him.
Right.
Well, yeah, go get, that was BS. Yeah, man. But when the crew chief's not that way, when the crew chief's counter to what you're thinking, it's the spotter can't do anything. He'll lose his job.
Right.
The driver don't pay the spotter. The team does. And if the crew chief goes into the shop on Monday and goes, hey, boss, this spotter we got, I can't work with him.
That's right.
He's
that's
out.
What happens. Yeah. And
so that ties TJ's hands a little bit.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so did you think that – so from your comments, it sounds like Ross didn't do anything wrong, and I think we all sort of agree. Ross is going to race like himself.
Ross, yeah.
He's not going to – I'm not saying it's wrong or right.
Ross
I'm just
didn't
saying,
do anything wrong.
Right, and he won the race. So, I mean, how can you hate a guy for trying to win the race?
Blaney, but I just want to see some I want to see some social media memes and stuff with the Blaney hand gestures.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Where's the videos?
I haven't seen any.
Do you remember when Blaney and Bubba were driving down the road and they were mimicking the other drivers?
That popped up recently.
Did it? I want to see that done.
About Blaney.
About Blaney.
Yes, yeah.
The funniest part of that whole exchange was William Byron's crew going, the 12 is melting down.
Yes.
Go get him.
Rudy said that. Yeah.
It was true.
It was true.
We all were. I'm standing there. I'm like, man, I picked Blaney to win. Look, I know I'm supposed to be non-biased in the booth, but, man, I'm pulling for Blaney. I picked his ass, right?
Right. You had a lot on the line on that.
Yeah. I'm like, Blaney, come on, man. Don't
mess this up for me.
Don't self-destruct.
Yeah. There's one guy that's been in your bucket since February, and you're going to let him down.
Yeah.
But, now, the meltdown on the radio was notwithstanding, I would say that Did you think that Blaney was trying to race Ross too hard too soon? Like before the last pit stops, I think that there was at least an idea that he was pushing the envelope, trying to make the pass because he was trying to get out in the lead.
It's so important to get the clean air.
Right, 100%. And I felt that way too. I appreciated what Blaney was doing at that point of the race, but I think everybody else was just trying to wait and see what happened.
I will say this. I was worried and nervous when he was doing that. I won't be the next time. Because I was sitting there going, man, Blaney is about to race the shit out of this guy and lose the big, he's going to race the shit out of the one.
The one, yeah.
And lose the big picture. But he didn't. He raced the shit out of the one and still won the race. And so,
well, yeah, the one won the race.
I'm sorry, still won the championship. So I will next time I'm watching this same scenario play out, I'm going to go, you know what? Blaney's got it. I'm going to trust that Blaney knows what the hell he's doing. He's a champion. He knows what he's in that car. So if that's the way he thinks he needs to be racing in the moment. I mean, hey, who's the question what he thinks he needs to do, right?
Not me.
Not anymore anyways.